Hi everyone, thank you for being here. Today we are talking about 3 things that happen when you choose yourself and what you can do today to get yourself a little bit closer. I have written a journal a month, every single month, since January of 2024. And you may be wondering, well, where did this even come from? I realized at the end of 2023 that I had barely written anything. This was the only journal I had filled out that year, and it was a very difficult year. I felt like I was not in a good place emotionally, physically, with friendship, with work. I just felt like I was not doing well, and I was not focusing on the things that made me happy. So I decided that I was going to give myself a brand new challenge where I was going to do a journal every single month to capture my experience, to see where I was going, to set out goals for myself and make them happen. And I wanted to do this by giving every month a new word that would be the theme for that month, a word that I would reflect on, a word that, surprisingly or not, became very vividly involved in that month as it happened. So what I wanted to do was to prove to myself that I could do it, that I could show up for myself, that I was worthy of being shown up for, that I was worth the investment. And January was all about acceptance. I probably will not go into every single month, but I will talk about the general change that happened over these past 2 years, because these are the most transformational of my entire life. But that is the first takeaway, is that I was worthy of investment, and so are you. You are worth putting time into and figuring out what you want from life, writing it down, spending time with yourself. And once you start to do that for you, you start to realize who isn't investing in you. And that was what January was all about. It was acceptance. It was accepting people for who they were, circumstances for what they were, and accepting that it was up to me to change it. So I realized that it was time for me to step into my power again and to take it back from wherever I thought I was handing it, and to say, you know what, enough is enough. Whatever these people think they have over me or don't, it's my life. I have to choose what happens next, which really explains why I was in this brand new energy. I was super excited about this new year. I felt that it was going to be a year that changed everything. And boy, oh boy, was I right. And I believed in that so much, this idea of change, that I made February Renaissance. And this really kicked everything off. I had lost my job by the end of the month, and I had to figure out what I was going to do next. I didn't have a job, I didn't have a partner, my brother at that point had already moved to North Carolina, so I was in this precipice. I needed to find a new job, but I also came to the realization that I didn't want to be in Massachusetts anymore. So I had to get real deal Holyfield with myself and accept that what was no longer going to be, and that a renaissance really was coming into my life, that everything was going to change. And a few months later, I had packed up all my bags and I headed south. And I realized 2 weeks before I was supposed to move that this new job I had gotten no longer wanted me there. And for the second time that year, I had lost a job. Now I was literally driving to my new life completely unaware of what was going to happen next. I didn't know where my next job was going to come from. I didn't know what I was going to do. All I knew was I had a place that I was going to stay and a dream that I was finally going to have to come to terms with. So Renaissance really did happen in my life, but I also continued the journals. I continued to do it. I continued to show up for me, because at that point I had a very stark realization that many people were not going to show up for me, and a lot of the people I worked with and spent so much time with and cared for didn't even ask how I was doing when I lost my job, and they were all very well aware that I was no longer there. So I had to come to this realization that at the end of the day, my life is in my hands and no one else is going to step in and save me. So the first thing you can do today is figure out who in your life is actually making the time for you, is actually respecting the value that you provide for them and the time that you spend on their events that you go to or gifts that you give them, who appreciates your presence in their life and who doesn't. And once you start writing and documenting, you realize very quickly that you're worth it because you show up for you. You make sure that you have what you need and that you have the strength within you to pursue the life that you want. I didn't have any proof that everything was going to be okay. I had to believe in myself and to take as many steps as I needed to get there. And that is what I'm asking of you today, is what value is not being recognized? Who in your life is actually telling you, you know what, you're only worth the investment when I need it, when I feel like it? And who is making that very clear to you? And why are you willing to let it go? Why are you okay with people not showing up? Why are you okay when they barely care about what's going on in your life and then they accuse you of random things? What is it that's happening in your life that you need to take control over? Writing these journals showed me that a lot of people are going to use your time in whatever way necessary, in whatever way they want, if you allow it. And to write a journal a month, you have to carve out the time. You have to actually not listen to somebody talk about the same thing for the 100th time. You have to show up. You have to carve out 3 hours on the last day to make sure all those pages are filled. And that was something that I had to realize. And what I did every single month was on the first of the month, I would write out the month's name and then the word, and I'd color it in. And then on the first few pages, I would set an intention for the month. I'd look on Instagram for different quotes and I would just write what I felt. And sometimes the reflections for the beginning of the month were directly correlated to the word or just the idea for that month or the season. So whatever way it happened, it did. And the rest of the month, I filled it in with things I learned, things I was going through, things I wanted to do. What I did a lot of the time was I would do notes from videos or from books that I was watching or books I was reading, shows I was watching. But what I realized towards the end, the last 6 months, was I really wanted it to be focused on just what I'm going through and not be a container of things that I've learned or things I'm taking notes of. More so what I've learned and what I'm going through. That was just something that shifted along the way. But either way, whichever I was doing, I was making a promise to myself. I was trusting myself to make these decisions and to show up for me. So that is the biggest thing to take away, is what can you learn from the people around you and how much they care about your time, and then also do a reflection on yourself. How much time are you spending on you? How much of that time do you feel bad about? And how much do you need to spend on you to get you to where you want to be in this life? My life completely changed, and it wasn't without action from my end. I had to call all of these different places that I wanted to live in. I had to send in my resume. I had to answer the calls from the recruiters. I had to show up to the interviews. I had to put one foot in front of the other to walk into this new version of me. And it was a wonderful time. I felt like I was connecting to myself and to other people and to who I wanted to be. And I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose that. And these journals really kept me on that path. And every time I took a step back and realized, you know what? This isn't working for me, I trusted that I would figure it out. And these journals really taught me that trust comes from within, and it is not something that someone can give to you or take from you, and that is really important. And one of the other things I did was I started to really follow those who I believed were living in ways that I wanted to take part in my own life. I will link Laura St. John's YouTube channel. She has been so helpful to me. I've loved every single second of watching her content, and It really is an amazing way for you to learn how to trust yourself and how to create the life you've always wanted. So I will link some of her videos down below. She's amazing. She has her own membership group. Check it out. It's literally the best. But I got to have a Zoom call with her, and it was a free one. Anyone could show up, and there was only a few other people on the call, and this was about 6 months into 2024. And I was like, how do you know that you're ready for this next big thing, that you're able to take it on? And she was like, you know, within yourself, you have to trust yourself. And she was like, you seem like you know what you want, so go after it and keep doing it, keep building that trust within you. So it was really special to be able to be on a call with her, and it was almost like a one-on-one. So that was really awesome. And that happened a few other times. There was other amazing creators who had these free calls where I was able to join, and it just felt like everything was shifting for the better, and I was very excited. I felt excited about life, and everything was changing, and I lived in North Carolina, and I started a new job, and people were great there, and I was like, awesome, like things are on the up. And then we came into 2025. Things were still on a high. I had just gone to Europe. I had gone to California. I was having fun as much as I could. And then in February of 25, the job that I'm currently at shared about layoffs. And I was like, dang it, not again. And it was difficult to watch so many people now have to come to terms with what I had to face just a year before. And I as well, I didn't know if I was gonna get to keep my job or what was next or where I was going to live next. My lease was almost up again, and I didn't know where I was going to be. So it was a very important time for me to again keep track of writing things down and giving myself the space to reflect with myself. And that brings me to number 2, which is challenges are going to happen, but what you do matters far more than any of it. Things are going to come up, things are going to go away, you're going to get the message, you're going to not get the message, but what you have to do is decide what matters and keep deciding that every single day. You have to choose the life that you want, regardless of how many people tell you you can't or how many people say no along the way. You have to choose your life relentlessly, and you have to pursue the person you want to be. And to do that, you have to know who you are and what you want from this life and from this world. And that is where your values come into place. I valued freedom and authenticity and creativity, and I wanted to build a life around all of these. And I wanted to move forward and to become the best version of myself, and I had to do that through these intentional decisions. And I have linked down below a value questionnaire that I built over these past few months, and it really does reflect how you kind of figure out your own values and what you want. So check that out down below to figure out what your values are and what you have been doing to upkeep them or to kind of push them under the rug. But whether you have upheld those values through every decision you've ever made or you've slipped, you do know what it feels like when you aren't living in your authentic life because you feel mad or scared or angry or bored or tired. And these are not feelings that create your greatest you. And those are the things that writing will do for you. You have to write it out. You have to get what's going on inside of you out onto the page and move forward. It doesn't matter what you did do or what you didn't do. What you have to do is decide today that you're going to move forward in a better direction. So figure out what you value and how you're living out those values or how you're not. And the rest of this month is going to be a big preparation for 2026 because I have this crazy idea, but also a fun one that I hope that you join me on, this brand new I Choose Me journey where we're going to dive into the life that we've always wanted. Now, the third thing is you need to plan. You have to plan. Every single one of these was not planned. I would start the month off with an intention or two and then just see where the month took me, and sometimes I would forget about the journal, but I would be aware that the month is coming to an end, so I would just write quotes, like one quote per page to just fill up the pages, or I would put pictures or stickers or something just to fill up the space, and the word would not be decided in advance. Reset came to me like 2 days before December, maybe I picked it on December 1st. So, and that was the usual for every single one of these. But I did realize that when I planned my time out, when I made an effort to decide what I was gonna do, it changed my life for the better. It made it so much easier to show up for me, and I wanted to keep doing that. So planning is the other half of this. That's the biggest lesson for me, was I wish I had planned more what I did every single month. December, I don't know how much more intentional it's going to be, but what I do want is for 2026 to be full of extreme intention and planning, and that is why I am releasing I Choose Me. You can go and get this on Amazon, and every single month already has a word attached to it. It has March, simplicity. I've spent the last 6 months coming up with how do I make 2026 even better. So yes, I was writing these notebooks at the exact same time as I was thinking about 2026. So I want you to do the same thing and to come along this journey with me. And I made an I promise sheet to make it explicit every single month what I'm going to do and what I am not going to do. And holding anything against me is just not possible. I can't hold anything that I have or haven't done against me, and I have to keep moving forward. And that is why I want us to choose ourselves, you to choose you, I to choose me, and that every single moment of 2026 is filled with this amazing abundance and joy and intention. This entire channel started because I wanted to live an intentional life, and everything I've done has come to this moment where I've planned out 2026. There's hundreds of pages of additional worksheets, workbooks to go with this that I will be releasing throughout 2026. I've never created a journal before a journey, but this one will be pretty cool. I am planning out everything that I want to learn and read next year, and I'm going to get into all of that a little bit more throughout the month. But I want this month to be the foundation setting for that next year, to figure out what your values are, what your freedoms are. And if you aren't aware of what the 5 freedoms are, it is a journey that I started a long time ago, a few years ago. It was actually earlier of 2023. It's actually pretty interesting because by the end of that year, I felt like I didn't have any freedom, and being selfish is all about your 5 freedoms. This book is also available right now, but we are going to go into it even more. We just did a mindset shift journey together, and that is what this has all been coming to, is to share with you this wonderful journey that we can go on together, that we can start building together. If you have no idea what your freedoms are, what your values are, what your habits are, it's all okay, because I've created worksheet upon worksheet that you can go through yourself, that I will personally also be going through, and I have created everything, and I will be sharing all of this foundation setting throughout the rest of the month. But I truly do hope that you join me this year in choosing yourself, whether you do that through joining this journey or in any way that makes sense for you right now. I hope that you do it. Make 2025 the last year that you give others importance over yourself. It is important to be selfish, to realize why you are living this life, what you want from it, and to pursue it relentlessly. It is important for you to let this year be the last one that you let other people tell you what you should do with your life. It doesn't matter what they want, it matters what you want, because only you get to live this life. So many people are not going to meet you in this world, and I truly hope that you aren't one of them. Figure it out. by doing the work. That is what I had to do. That is what these 24 journals are. I am currently working on this one. I hope to finish it this year, and then we are transitioning to I Choose Me. I've never in advance picked the word for the month, and now I've done it for all 12. So check it out. I will leave the link down below. Go and do the values sheet. I am also doing all of this work on my own, and I will be sharing that throughout the months. My own updates, what I did, what I'm doing, what I'm learning, so we can do it together. I want this to be the last time that all of us believe we're not worth it. You deserve this beautiful, amazing life. You wouldn't have this dream in your life if you didn't also have the power and the strength to make it come to life. You can have whatever life you want as long as you are the one who wants it and you put in the work. I hope you have an amazing week, and I will see you very soon.